McWhorter Custom Rifles presents.
That 45 XML is ready to go hunting. Welcome back, folks. This week, Blondie and I and the grandkids are going to be right here in our home state of Georgia, hunting on our own property here. We're going to start out muzzleloader season. We're going to go through rifle season. We got the MCRs ready to go. These South Georgia bucks are in trouble.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, Zeiss Hunting, Forge Carbon Stocks, Hornady Ammunition, Atlas Development Group, and Great Horizon Ranch.
So I've lived in Georgia my whole life, and I finally got a place of my own several years back that's actually 1,000 yards through the woods from my rifle shop, so it works out perfectly. And I've got a little extra time to work on the property. We've got several feeders that we feed to rack them up on. We've got several food plots. We've got a couple tractors that we work these with. Some years we get good rain and they do great, some years they don't. But regardless of that, we've always got the supplemental feeding. So this year we were gonna be home on several stints during the season to be able to try to kill a big buck in our home state of Georgia. All right, so my place used to be an old golf course. It used to be nicely groomed fairways and greens and tee boxes. None of that anymore. All the fairways have turned into food plots, and all the tee boxes have turned into platforms to put deer blinds on. So it worked out pretty good for us, and it's been a really good place to see a lot of deer over the years. We've got a 180-something acre tract on one side of the road, a little 50-acre tract we call the airstrip on the other side of the road, and we love hunting both of us. The kids, the grandkids, a few friends from time to time get to come down, and we've just really enjoyed trying to raise big deer on this property. We've done pretty good over the years. Feeding the rack 'em up, which has been phenomenal, and doing the food plots, we've been able to raise one or two really big deer. One in particular was a drop tine deer that was over 180 inches that unfortunately got hit in the dirt road here, and we didn't get to hunt him. We've had several other good deer. We do have a lot of neighbors that hunt, so we lose a lot to the neighbors, but that's just the nature of the beast when you don't own a whole lot of property. But the whole process has been great. Feeding them, watching them grow. Our management philosophy is basically we start shooting culls when they're 3 years old. If they're a cull, if they're a 6 or a 7 pointer, big bodied, and we don't feel like they're going to do anything else, we'll try to kill those at 3 years old. Otherwise, if they're multi-point deer, we don't shoot them unless they're 5 years old. Even if we think the neighbor's got a good chance of killing them, we just don't shoot them until they're 5 years old. And we have lost several to the neighbors that at 3 and 4 years old. But nonetheless, we try to stick to our management plan. We try to feed good, and the results one day will pay off for us. So bow season starts September in Georgia, and this year we didn't get a chance to hunt with a bow. But the next season is muzzleloader season, and I was here, that's usually mid-October. It's just a week season that precedes the firearm season. And We had several culls that we were going to try to kill, and we had a couple of big bucks. So the first deer I decided I was going to go after was a deer that was actually living right behind my shop. We've got 20 acres on our shop property, and in the target area we've got chicory and clover planted there. We've got another rack 'em up feeder. That range is 600 yards long, and it's really a good spot. There's really thick cover to the south of it, and a lot of deer stay right there, and they frequent that on a regular basis. They're so used to hearing us test guns that I've actually been out there in the afternoons, late in the evening, and had deer out there at the feeder shooting over their heads, hitting steel at 500 yards, and they didn't even run off. So it's a good situation because the deer aren't spooked, they're used to gunfire.
This segment is brought to you by Board and Accuracy, makers of the most accurate custom hunting actions on the market. Manufactured in the USA to true bench rest tolerances. Board and Accuracy equals success.
It's muzzleloader season, and typically what I would do during a weekday, I'd get to the shop early before daylight and get in this upper shooting house that we actually use for our deer blind, and it's on our 500 or 600 yard range there. And so this particular morning, it's good weather. I climb in there, I start watching the chicory and clover, and I watch the rack 'em up feeder, and had a couple of does out there, and all of a sudden a big body shows up. It's still pretty low light, so I don't know exactly who he is to begin with. But once it gets a little lighter, I realize that this is a 6.5-year-old 8-pointer that we're really looking to kill, and hopefully, you know, we were looking to kill him before the rut, before he gets to breed anymore. So the deer comes out. He gets him some rack 'em up. He's eating on my chicory plot. He's 475 yards, and I get the camera on him, I get situated, I get ready to shoot, and at 475 yards, I squeezed off the 45 XML. Hit him almost perfectly in the front shoulder. He went down his front legs, went into the brush about 30 yards, and that was the end of that. All right, well, it's been about an hour since he ran. Gonna give you some time, but I think we made a good shot. It was 475 yards, and we had him dialed up on the 45 XML with the Zeiss here, so it's a big, old, mature 8-pointer. It's really a management deer that we have been targeting to take out of the herd, and he was the only deer down there this morning. I could see the big body before it got legal light, and verified it was him about 8 or 10 minutes after legal light, and dialed the Zeiss scope up and touched it off, and I think we made a good shot. But anytime they run, we're gonna give them a little time so we don't bump them. So here we go, gonna head down range, literally down range, and see what we got. Well, here we go. Big 5.5, 6.5-year-old management buck here at Georgia. On our range here, we've got a 600-yard range here right behind the shop, and we've got a 1,000-yard range next door where we do the true precision shooting school. And this guy, we had pictures of him the last couple of days, and we were hoping he would finally daylight. And at daylight this morning, he was at the rack 'em up feeder eating, and then he wandered out into our chicory field, and at 475 yards, he stopped long enough to dial the 45 XML up and hit him right in the shoulder, and he ran in this brambles about 80 yards and piled up. Just this is a big management deer. We try to shoot them after they're 3 years old. If they're not going to do anything, we try to shoot them. If they're multi-point and they look like they got some potential, so we always give them to at least 5. But this deer is 5.5, 6.5 years old, 250 pounds on the hoof. He was gonna be a breeder. He was gonna be a player, and we just didn't want him to do that. So luckily he gave us a shot, and we made a decent shot. So can't say enough about these muzzleloaders. They're incredible, and just thank you, Lord Jesus, for letting me hunt these magnificent deer. Even though this isn't a big deer, it's a deer that I'm proud of that really needed to come out of the herd for our management. I'm gonna get him on the truck and get him to the processor, because he ought to eat pretty good even though he's old.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by McWhorter True Precision Long Range Hunting and Shooting School, Leo Photo USA, Brux Barrels, Trigger Tech, Hawkins Precision, and Borden Accuracy.
So I got a 9-year-old grandson named Jace that really, really loves to hunt. He doesn't get to go much because he's quite the baseball player, but he finally gets to come out for a weekend and he wants to shoot a deer. He's not real picky, he just wants to shoot a deer. He's killed 2 other does. We've done a whole lot of work with him on the shooting range, and he's just chomping at the bit to get back in Pop-Pop's blind and shoot the first thing comes out that's legal. After a while, some does start coming out. We get a mature doe out there at the rack 'em up pile, dead at 200 yards. And Jace, I get him all calmed down. He gets on the little 6-dasher. She's down. Give me 5, dude. Point of the shoulder. What'd that do?
Drop it.
Give me 5. That was great. Good shooting. All right, so this is Jace's doe, and everything worked out real good. We got a feeder down here at 435 yards, but that's a little further than I want him shooting this smaller gun. So we got about a 200-pound pile of rack 'em up we put out here at 200 yards, because that's where he had shot his deer before. And he drilled this doe like right on the point of the shoulder. Big mature doe, big body, big long head, and you made a perfect shot. Welcome back, folks. Today we're going to talk about one of our best in the field hunting training targets that we use at our True Precision Long Range Hunting and Shooting School. And this is a target that's specially made for us by Metal Spinning Targets, our good friend Brett Ranke. And we've been using these for several years, and we like it because it's just, when you're shooting these, it's positive affirmation. Like I was watching you shoot prone a minute ago without even a pair of glasses, and I can watch this kill zone just flap when you hit it. You know, this is a 10-inch kill zone. It's positioned perfectly straight up the front leg, so you know anything in this 10-inch area right here is a good lethal hit on a deer-sized animal. So this is a perfect training aid. And like I said, in favor of shooting paper targets, which are the least affirmation, to shooting flat metal targets where you got to actually watch the splash and see where it hits. When you see this thing flap at long range, you know you've made a good lethal hit on an animal.
Absolutely, and the difference is these is, like you said, the kill zone is set up for long range shooting. We don't teach at the long range shooting school to shoot behind the front shoulder, and the reason why is that is the windage left and right is you get more windage movement here, and a straight up center line chest is take out the top of the heart, punch bust shoulders, knock out the lungs. Deer 99% of the time pulls his front legs and back legs up and bang flops right there.
So if you come straight up here, this is the perfect center of a kill zone. If you're 4 or 5 inches either way, you still got a good kill. If your original aiming point, like John was talking about, is behind the shoulder, like all our daddies taught us how to shoot, and you shoot left and you're back in the guts. Up this way, you got equal percentage of shooting a good lethal shot, whether you pull it left or right. So
This is one of the best training aids I've ever seen, and we use it here every weekend.
All right, so if you want one of these, give us a call at McWhorter Custom Rifles. And that's our True Precision Tip of the Week, brought to you by Allan and John and McWhorter Custom Rifles.
Precision Hunting TV is also brought to you by Armageddon Gear, Mesquite Creek Taxidermy, Hell's Canyon Barrels, Gun Foam, Boyd Harness Company, and Metal Spinning Targets. This segment is brought to you by Atlas Development Group, makers of the finest premium rifle cartridge cases on the market. Proudly made in the USA. Our stringent manufacturing process and raw materials yield superior results.
All right, so when we identify that a deer is a cull, then we try to kill him at 3 years old. Now, there's no guarantees in Georgia. You know, there's no real cold weather, nothing ever dies. You got honeysuckle and greenbrier throughout the year, so the deer really don't have to come out. But if you've got good food plots, you got some rack 'em up feeders, then we're going to get them to come out. But that being said, we had identified this year a 4-year-old, very small 6-pointer, very inferior rack, and we just wanted him out of the herd, so that was Denise's target buck. So we find a good afternoon where we want to try to get this deer. We've had several pictures on him on the Tacticam cameras. He's been at this feeder and been in this food plot pretty much every day, so we decided we're gonna go out and go after this deer. And lo and behold, right before dark, this 6-pointer walks out at 435 yards going to the rack 'em up feeder. All right, well, Denise made a great shot tonight. We almost got this guy last night, but we weren't quite quick enough. We changed chairs tonight, and she got on him and dialed up 435 yards. He was on our feeder full of rack 'em up. He's been stealing rack 'em up from us the whole year, and he's not much of a trophy. He's just a cull, but that's how you make trophies, is you shoot the culls, and this deer should have been shot last year, but we didn't get him dead. But we got him dead this year.
We both have #1 buck under our belt, and
yeah.
We've got a few more weeks. Hopefully we can find another one of our target bucks.
So it's after Christmas. We've had all the kids and grandkids down, and my oldest granddaughter, whose name is Rayleigh, she lives about 2 hours from me in Columbus, Georgia. She has really expressed to me that she wants to come down and kill a big buck. So we finally work it out. I don't really have any more deer on my place that we are really candidates for her to shoot this year. So I call a good friend of mine who's got some property 20 or 30 miles from me, and he agrees to let us go over there and hunt. So Rayleigh and I go to the range, we do a little practicing, and we get in my truck and we head to my buddy's property. 30 minutes later, we're climbing up in a big shooting house that's overlooking several fields, but the main focus is a cut line in between some thick pines. And he's got a feeder down there that's put out for him, basically that's about 350 yards. So we went down before we hunted, and we scattered out some rack 'em up all around that feeder area where the deer used to come in. So Rayleigh and I are just sitting there, and we're looking and we're watching deer. We see a couple of does, we see a couple of small bucks. It's getting late. I can tell she's starting to get disappointed. Then all of a sudden from the right, this big-bodied 4.5-year-old 8-pointer steps out, and we know that that's her buck. And you made a great shot. Give me 5.
Shaking a little bit.
He's dead. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
This is my granddaughter Rayleigh, and she's been practicing
quite a bit, and we shot at the range before we came out here on this hunt this afternoon. And we didn't know we were going to be shooting this far, but the feeder was down there about 407 yards, and this buck ended up out here eating on his wheat here at about 350. And she waited till all the other deer cleared and dropped him in his tracks. What a big, wide, old buck. That buck's 4.5, maybe 5.5 years old, and just a good mature deer, and just a great deer. 8-pointer. Look at those brow tines. Look how wide he is. That's great. Good job, darling. Good shoot. Good shoot. You made me proud.
Even though we live in Georgia, we travel so much doing this TV show that we often don't get to hunt there much. This year we were fortunate enough to hunt there some ourselves and to get to hunt with some of our grandkids. And I could have killed the biggest buck in the world in Illinois or somewhere in the Midwest. It wouldn't have been as good a feeling as watching these two kids shoot these deer. Can't wait till next year.